Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda. If we have not met, if we have, nice to see you back. So today I just kind of wanted to talk over my seed starting setup, my plans of what seeds I'm starting, when I'm going to start them. I'm in zone 6B here in the US. My first estimated frost for my area is April 24th. I have about 10 to 11 weeks before my last estimated frost is to happen. Now this can vary. We can have some colder days after that last frost, or we might get some warmer days and it stay warm before then. But I am planning on having my seeds started. Last year I got a little overzealous and I started my seeds way too soon, and that kind of caused me to up-pot those seedlings a couple of times. I think my tomatoes I up-potted twice, which was way too much. I'm going to be planning on not starting my seeds as early as I did last season. This is Luther. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my seeds and kind of how I have it set up right now. So if you were with me for my last video, I showed you guys kind of a seed haul that I had gotten for this season. And again, overzealous, and I really love seeds. So I have them organized in the weeks that I should be starting them. And I have my seed giveaway for an Instagram giveaway that should be in the works a few weeks into this month. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys aren't on my Instagram, I'll go ahead and put in the description box below. Just be on the lookout for that. So in my box I have things kind of divided off into the weeks that I will be starting them. So I've got my 4 to 6 weeks, some 6 to 8 weeks, 8 to 10, and then for those really hot peppers, as well as celery and whatnot, in the 10 to 12 week range. There are a few varieties that I do not have set into this because they will be direct seeded. These are all the ones that I'm going to be doing starts for. I do have a few others that are off on the side that are potentially going to be used for a plant cell that will be in April sometime in my area. So if you're in the area, be on the lookout for that as well. And then I also I really need to go out and throw some seeds outside. I have a lot of native wildflowers that I got from my friend Megan from Magical Gardens. So I really want to have a good pollinator area this season. My next step for my seed organization is to actually go ahead and label the ones that need to be cold stratified. It simulates the same effects that it would have if it were outside during the winter. And I realized not too long ago that this is why I had such a hard time with growing poppies and rosemary and a few other varieties that just really had a poor germination rate. And I realized that they needed that cold dormant period to actually sprout. So these seeds not having that dormant period, we really are trying to simulate what would be happening in nature. So in nature, these seeds would come off the mother plant, they'd be spread out into the soil, it would then go into fall and then winter, and we'd have that long period of cold, and then come spring those seeds would pop up and start to grow. So I need to go through and actually figure out which varieties of those need to actually have that period of dormancy. So there will be hopefully a video out for that not too long from now. So let us pop back to my shelf back here and get my seed starting station set up. This year for Christmas, I really wanted to gather more supplies for gardening. And so one of those items that I requested were Bootstrap Farmer seed starting supplies. So I got the 2.5 inch starting pots, and I got them in the fun colors too. So I got the orange, the pink, purple, green, and then I also got the 1020 seed starting trays, also in the fun colors. So these guys are good for bottom watering, easily just, you know, have your pots in here. I did not get the little tray that inserts into this that makes it so that the tray or the pots sit in there nicely, but that can be for next time. This is sufficient in getting my plants started, so I can just easily pop one of these guys out, pour water into that bottom waterer, and make sure that my plants are getting fed water from the bottom, making their roots kind of stretch down more. I did go ahead and purchase some smaller plugs as well. So I got these 6-cell seed starters, and they have little slits on the bottom, and the hole that helps you just kind of pop the plant through without disturbing the roots. I have used a wide variety of things to start my plants in. Among them, I have egg cartons. These are just like a paper mache, like, they're pretty good. I've used these for sunflowers, herbs. I'm sure they'd be perfect for, you know, veggies and whatnot too. I thought about doing microgreens or cat grass in the side of this certain tray. And then I've also used plastic ones as well. This one's awesome because then you can actually use it kind of like a mini greenhouse if you just like remove the sticker. I've used solo cups as well. These are great for up-potting. I used smaller trays to start tomatoes in and whatnot, and then I'd tease them apart and then up-pot them into solo cups, and these were like the final stage for that. I've also used the, what are these? Peat moss, like the biodegradable, yeah, peat pots. So these are, I think, 10 cells. These are nice, and I've used them 2 years in a row now, because I think that the Jiffy brand does, you know, you can buy those trays that are kind of like the flimsier plastic, and those typically come with something either like this or the little, what are those called? Okay, so it's peat pellets. They're kind of like those little like dehydrated soil pucks with like kind of like a mesh outer layer, and when you hydrate it, it just kind of fluffs up. Those are good, and they're a really cheap option, although I found that the little covering on the outside doesn't necessarily break down quite as well as I'd like it to. So even with these guys, I will rip these off of the soil and the plant start once it's time to plant them outside, and then I'll compost this. The fabric coating on those peat or soil pellets, pucks, whatever they are, I go ahead and just throw those out. But this year we're doing Bootstrap Farmer trays. These are gonna last a really long time. I've tons and tons and tons of reviews on these. So I'm happy to be using these. I still will be using these guys, just because I have a lot of plants that I'm wanting to be starting. So I got these shop lights from Home Depot. They were $20 for 3-foot long shop lights. They are 4,000 Kelvin. They're 32 watts and 3,000 lumen. Honestly, I got the cheapest ones that I could. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that these are nice and close to my seedlings when they are germinating, just so that when they do sprout, I don't get leggy plants. It just means that the seedlings keep growing and stretching and trying to reach for the light. By keeping the light source just a few inches above where the seedlings are, you're going to keep those seedlings shorter and ensure that they get a stronger, healthier stem. Once those seedlings do pop up, I will add in a fan that oscillates, just so that kind of simulates like the wind outside. And again, that just kind of enforces that your seedlings will get a healthy, strong stem. On my hot peppers, I'm going to be using a heat mat. It's just a small heat mat. So it's just a small size heat mat that's perfectly sized for that 1020 seed starting tray that I have. This is because I want the soil to be warmer for those peppers starts than say like my herbs. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my shop lights on this rack and the rack above so that they're hanging on to the lower ones. The shop light is just typical LED light, little pull string to turn it on. I may eventually add in a timer of some sorts with like a plug-in. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get this to work because I only have one outlet in my office, and I don't really want to overload the outlet. So maybe I'll talk to my cousin, he's an electrician, get a good solution on how to do that. I wasn't sure how I was going to hang these, but the box comes with these nifty chains and they have little hooks, and there's plenty of wires and whatnot to lay this over, so yay. When I was looking for these lights, I almost bought the 4-foot long ones. These are 3 feet long. I went ahead and I looked up the rack that I got. I got mine from Target. The rack is like 3 feet and like 7 inches wide this way. So not quite 4 feet, and I didn't want the lights to be hanging off the edges, so I just opted for the 3-foot light instead of the 4-foot one, which would have hung off. I'm gonna have like a few inches on either side that's not gonna have light directly over, but it's perfectly okay. So the first light is set up. I probably will have to lower this down quite a bit once I am actually starting seeds. I could have started them last weekend, but I'm gonna go ahead and hold off on starting them just one more week, just so that I'm just that much more likely to not have to uppot them several times before having to transplant them outside. I just need to put my second light up on this shelf, and then we'll be all sorted. I'd love to know what kind of mediums you guys are using for starting your own seeds, as well as what zone or climate you're in. A lot of you gave a lot of suggestions for seed companies. There was a couple seed companies that I'd never heard of. Also never occurred to me to check out the dollar store for seeds, and they're actually fairly cheap at that. Honestly, any seeds that you can buy that can grow you a garden, I think is perfectly fine. My first season of growing, I was actually at a rental property that my parents owned while in college, and my sister had just gotten into gardening pretty big, and she had a few starts of, I think it was a generic Roma tomato, and I think she gave me a tomatillo as well. But I had just like a little garden box in the backyard, and I put those starts that she'd given me back there, and I had made my first homemade spaghetti sauce, like fresh tomatoes out of the garden, and made tomato sauce fresh. First time I'd ever done that. Otherwise I would have just gotten a jar of tomato sauce out of the pantry. But it was just so good. And a few years ago, me and my boyfriend were in an apartment, zero backyard, and one of the other tenants in our unit actually bought like, what is it? Kind of like one of those metal things that you'd use for like drinks in the summer, but instead put legs on it and put soil in it, and like was growing a garden outside of our unit in like this little like common area we had. And I was just yearning so badly for a space to grow food and just to know where it came from. That year I started a few flowers, and like I think Target has them, like they're like $1 mini terracotta pots that have just like some seeds, and again that like pellet of dehydrated soil that you add water to and it fluffs up. I grew, I think, roses, like mini, I don't even know what kind of roses they were, like mini baby rose looking things, lavender and like chamomile. And I was just ready. I was ready to be out of the apartment, to have my own space to grow food, to then cook delicious homemade food with. So this upcoming season is going to be filled with so many delicious food ventures. I'm so excited for all the garlic. We go through so much garlic in my household, even though it's just the two of us. All of that to say, what growing mediums are you guys using? Are you guys using Bootstrap Farmer? Are you using peat pellets? Are you using peat pots? Are you using egg cartons? Are you using mushroom cartons, like the plastic ones that hold mushrooms from the grocery store? Solo cups? Honestly, any of them work. You just need soil, water, and a light source, and you'll have plants to put in your garden. It's pretty bright. So either this next weekend or the weekend after, I am going to be going ahead and getting my hot peppers started. I've got pimento peppers, Sugar Rush Peach, those Detal Spiral Super Hot, Death Spiral Detal, some rosemary, which I think I need to do that cold stratification on, celeries, and then lastly some red onions that I'm going to be hoping to get planted. I'm not quite sure if my onions made it or not yet, but we'll see. Not this weekend, but the upcoming weekend, I am doing a female entrepreneur meetup, which I'm super excited about. My friend Megan from Magical Gardens is hosting a female entrepreneur meetup. It's the first one of the year. She actually is already looking for her second meeting to be sometime in November, I think. Which is super awesome. Super excited to have her as someone to look to talk to inspire me, to inspire her, and just kind of to continue to grow in a community. I've met a lot of wonderful women here in the past few weeks that are just doing great things. If you're interested to see any of my other videos, I'll go ahead and post one up here for you guys to watch in the meantime. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy growing!